All right, the watch list for tomorrow has more bounce plays on it. We had a really nice bounce in eyes, EYES today, and so we've loaded up the watch list with more bounce plays. So VSLR starting to get downside shape. It's a recent IPO solar play, which those are getting hurt with the selling of oil, but this one's starting to get ahead of itself. And on an intraday basis, here we go with 5-minute candles. It looked like this today when I put it on reversal watch, possible bounce watch in the chat room. And look what happens. I never did get a call on it because it didn't really give any kind of entry. And then all of a sudden just does that and runs for about 15 straight minutes. Huge move, never got in it. But the fact that it made this huge move from 8 to 870 probably in 15 minutes tells me that this thing can move pretty well. And again, it's getting ahead of itself to the downside. This is one of my favorite potential bounce plays for tomorrow. If you watched my video I made this evening on EYES on how I play a bounce play, it's a pretty good example of kind of the kind of thing I look for when I'm playing a bounce play. So here's another one, Mobileye, MBLY. I can't say that this is coming into support or anything like that. There's not a lot of chart to go on because it just came public back in, it looks like, early August. But we are starting to get some downside shape here. And I mean, just as much as 5 days ago, this thing was 47.20. So it's almost fallen $10 here in 5 days. And if you go back a few more days, it was almost 50. So it has fallen $10, in the past, 7 or 8 days. So want to watch MBLY for a bounce. PGN, again, if these were 5-minute candles, I'd be all over this looking for a bounce. So I'm going to throw that back on bounce watch, even though it's daily candles. Nice volume, nice shape, good chance for a bounce. Again, SM, same thing. ISR had a gap up yesterday. I'm making this video on Tuesday, so a gap up on Monday and traded over 9 million shares. Sold off most of the day and then sold off a little bit, but today was kind of a narrow range. So I want to watch this one for a turn back to the upside tomorrow. That's ISR. GDP, just another one. It's like a broken record, but another bounce play that's getting ahead of itself, I think. And most of these are oil related, not ISR, not MBLY, but most of them are oil related. And this thing 6-7 sessions ago was $10.30. It's under $4 right now. Another good prospect. EPE. News came out on this one today. The chairman bought almost 24,000 shares, I think the CEO. So, and this was another one's getting ahead of itself. And I think that was at $10.40 something maybe. So I want to watch this one for a bounce. And lastly, VNet. Now there's not much chart to go on here as far as, I don't look at this daily chart and say, ooh, this thing's ready to break out. Or, ooh, this is a bounce play. It's really in the middle of a range. So I'll try to explain why it's interesting to me, but it's not hard, excuse me, it's not hard to see. 18 and 22, it's in a range, right? And right now it's kind of sitting in the middle of the range, but if we zoom in, pretty good volume on Monday, and it gapped up and really didn't hold the gap up, but it also didn't fill the gap. And so I want to watch this one. Let's go to a 2-day 15-minute now. Okay, so here's the high that it put in on the gap up, and then today put in a lower high, and you can kind of see it's tightening up pretty well, right? And found some support today, so I want to watch this one for a bounce play. It's one of those names that if it can trade in a narrow range and then light up the new highs ticker, an hour or two into the session, you can get a really nice pop. So I say this in almost every video I make. It doesn't cost me anything to have this one on a chart. If it doesn't meet my parameters tomorrow, it'll just be a four-letter symbol that I don't trade. Big deal. Doesn't cost me anything. But again, the daily isn't that interesting, but I do like it if it can trade in a narrow range and then break out later. DGLY, got to have this one on watch. I had an order filled out at the open to take this one, I think at 1460, and I would have gotten filled, and I just never sent the order. I just never sent it. Probably had my order filled out too big, and so I didn't trust it. But I was looking for a short squeeze in this one, and I'm embarrassed to say in this video I didn't make a nickel from this thing. It also gave a couple other nice entries later in the day, and I just, I was off trading other things. Had some really nice trades today, but DGLY, wow. That was a huge move. It was a short squeeze I've been looking for, and, I've had some nice trades over this past couple weeks in it, but nothing like I could have had today. But anyway, the reason I'm pointing it out is after that move on almost 9 million shares, and you've got a lot of support below, and it's a low float, so you can see how he can squeeze. I don't know that tomorrow's the day to play it, but over the next week or two, this should be on a chart every day because there will be some nice follow-up trades in it. All right? Anyway, I'll quit babbling and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good night.